Hello and welcome to the Agri-Learn podcast. I'm your host, Raina Nala, an emerging full-time commercial farmer and the brand ambassador for the Women and Youth Loan Scheme at the Agricultural Bank of Namibia. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Erastus Ngaruka, who is a technical advisor specializing in rangeland and livestock production. Mr. Ngaruka, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on the Agri-Learn podcast in season 2 once again.
Very much. Yeah, thanks.
Namibia has over 30 million hectares of rangeland affected by high density of bush. What is your definition of bush encroachment and what is the cause of it?
All right. Yeah, simply, bush encroachment is the invasion of an area by a particular bush species.
Okay.
So that invasion is now the increase in density of that species. So it could be an area that it was not present there before, or it could be an area where they were in a few numbers, but now due to some factors, they tend to increase in number.
Okay.
So it's an aggressive invasion of an area by a particular bush species.
Yeah. Aggressive invasion. Okay, all right. And what is the cause of it?
Yes, when we are talking about rangeland management, there's many things that one have to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rangeland productivity depends on rainfall and it depends on utilization, how you are utilizing it. So if you are to talk about livestock farmers, it's how you graze your area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then the way you are grazing your area, you are also somehow encouraging bush encroachment. How is that? Plants, they live in competition.
Yeah.
It can be between species or within species. So if you eliminate one plant species,
between species and within species. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you eliminate one species or one plant, obviously the other one may take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, because plants, they compete for soil moisture, for space, and so forth. So if you eliminate the competitor, obviously the other competitor will obviously take over. So there's other things that you can attach to. It's grazing management or poor grazing regimes, and also accumulation of seeds or the seed bank, because the more the bush produce seeds.
Yes.
Yeah, so the more seeds they produce, so the more regeneration. Yeah, and then apart from grazing and the seeds, it could be also rainfall.
Okay.
Yeah, because if there's poor rainfall activities, some of these bush species, they are very drought resistant. They don't require a lot of inputs in terms of moisture, in terms of sunlight and so forth. So they just take any degraded area. Yeah, so when we are in drought especially, drought eliminates other plants that are drought, not resistant to drought. So these bush species, they take over.
Okay. Now, what effect does bush encroachment have on agricultural productivity?
Yeah, when you are talking of rangeland productivity, you want the production for your livestock. Yeah. So what you want is the forage materials there that you want them for your livestock. And most importantly, in Namibia, we focus on grass species. So we have grazers like cattle, you have sheep and so forth, and they are dependent on the grazing materials, which is the grass. Yeah, so now this competition from the bush removes the grass species. Yeah, meaning now your animals will not have any grass or enough sufficient grass to graze on. So, and then if there's no food for your animals, what happens then? Their productivity themselves will also be affected. And then what does that mean to you? Your animals are not in the good condition even to market them as you wish. They may not even produce sufficient milk for their calves and so forth, so you may not get sufficient enough milk from them. So it's all about the animals depend on the grazing, and if the grazing is not sufficient, their own productivity is affected or declines, which again affects your livelihood or your income.
Agreed. Now, with regards to biomass, what is the potential of the biomass industry in the country?
Yeah, when you are talking about biomass, you are talking about these resources that you are getting from controlling bush. Let's say you cut a woody species. Okay. So what is it that you are able to extract from that particular bush that you have cut? Okay. So which can be charcoal, which can be wood itself, and also into fodder, bush feed, for example. Okay. Yeah. So those are the importance of or what you can get out of bush control activities. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's talk about the growth trajectory of this $1 million industry, charcoal production.
All right.
Can you just give us a brief explanation to that?
Yeah. For the fact that we have bush, obviously the industry will be growing because the resource is there, which is the bush. It can be, to another farmer, bush will be a bad thing, but to one who wants to invest into charcoal production, it's an opportunity. So obviously, the more bush you have, the more potential to produce charcoal. And then many farmers now, especially the commercial farmers or the emerging farmers, have gone onto that road of producing charcoal. And it has been a growing industry, of which there has been some estimates of 25% increase, especially for the previous year. So it's an industry that came a long way, and the demand also is increasing. Now you can see now Namibian charcoal being exported to Europe, here in South Africa. So the more bush we have, the more interested farmers are into the industry. And then again, if the demand is there, I think it's growing the industry, and it has been growing.
Definitely. All right, Mr. Ngareka, let's move on to our next question. Let's briefly talk about the socio-economic benefits of charcoal production.
All right, let us even start from the beginning where it starts. So it all starts with improving your rangeland. So once you improve your grazing area or your rangeland, you are improving your livestock productivity, which in turn can also improve your livelihoods, because you are now able to market animals that are in better conditions. Your animals are able to produce sufficient milk and so forth. So now when it comes to the production of charcoal itself, number one, you are employing people who are supposed to cut this bush. You are employing people who do the burning. You are employing people who do the processing or the packaging and so forth. You are employing people who are also loading and so forth. So yes, obviously these people are family people who also have to support their families. So with that employment, they are already distributing income to their families, which is now an improvement in their social or sustainable livelihood for them.
Definitely.
So it's mostly on employment as well.
Okay. All right, we just talked about the socio-economic benefits of charcoal production. Now let's talk about the difference between a charcoal producer and a charcoal processor. What's the difference?
So you have a value chain, or you have a chain of events. So you have the one producing, that's the person on the farm. That's the person or a farmer with a bush around him. So he cuts, he bends, and then where does he take it to? To the next level, where it needs to be processed, packaged. So sorting as well. It's at the part of the processing. So the producer is the one who cuts, he bends, and then he packages them in the local materials that he may or she using, like the normal bags that you are using, the leak bags. And then they ship it to a processor who may now add value, who would sort them as per the market requirements and some attributes with regard to charcoal quality, and then package them, brand them, and then ship them to the market.
Awesome. Now, my next question is, are communal farmers allowed to venture into charcoal production?
That is a very good question, for the fact that most communal areas are encroached, and livestock productivity in communal areas is it's declining, and it's due to bush encroachment. So, but in any case, the government or the ministries that are responsible are trying to find means on how to bring these communal farmers into the value chain. So for now, they are not allowed, but then there are certain structures that they have to establish first before they go full engagement into charcoal production. Like now, there's this initiative of having community forests. Where there will be now at least some management frame with regard to rangeland management and bush harvesting and charcoal production. So it's all about trying to make sure that it's done on a sustainable manner, and also on the practices are monitored, and that the benefits from that are also shared amongst the communities.
That is wonderful. Now, on to my last question before we head on to site. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah.
How many charcoal producers do we have in the country, and how many charcoal processors do we have in the country?
Yeah, since the industry has been growing, and for now, the latest statistics shows that there's 650 or around 650 charcoal producers with about 13 processors in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a growing industry.
Yeah.
So there's many commercial farmers up there. The emerging commercial farmers are also coming in and so forth.
Yeah.
So the push factor is bush encroachment, which is a problem with regard to livestock production. So many farmers are now trying to diversify their farming practices just to eliminate bush, not to eliminate, but to just improve their rangelands, and in the process also participate in an income generating activity.
Yeah.
You're not just only investing, you're putting money into bush control, but then at the end there's nothing. So yeah, they have found a way, and there are associations that are also helping some of these farmers, and there are events where farmers are also being trained on how to go about and so forth. Yeah.
It's all about diversified farming.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, diversified farming, more income streams.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mr. Garuka, great discussion. Shall we go on site to see and hear more about charcoal production?
Very much. So it's better to see and see what is happening. It will create more understanding.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Garuka, now that we are on site, let's briefly talk about charcoal production and the requirements for a startup farmer.
Okay, thank you. The supply should be your rangeland in terms of charcoal. So if there's bush, obviously you have a supplier, and now it's you to decide what is it that I want to extract from this bush.
Yeah.
So is it wood, is it charcoal, and so forth.
Yeah.
But in any case, since you are dealing with the environment, you are dealing with a natural resource, or that everyone should also benefit from.
Yeah.
It should be done on a sustainable manner. So number one, you need to also have the consent from the Ministry of the Forestry Department and even the environment, especially if you have to do larger scales.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, you would need to have a permit for harvesting.
Yeah.
You need to have a permit for marketing and transporting as well. But then before you even start with any bush activity, the Forestry Department should be notified, and they should come and do the assessment. The type of bush that you have, the species, and at what scale, and so forth. Yeah, so that is very necessary. They have to take stock of what is there that you want to harvest. And then now you go through the process of the permits now. Harvesting permits should be there before you harvest. If you are to transport it, you need to have a transport permit. And as well, the marketing permit should be there.
Okay.
Harvesting, marketing, and transporting.
Okay. So all the permits need to be present before you actually start the work.
Yeah, particularly the harvest and the marketing. Now at the point of that you decide to market, you need to transport them, isn't it?
Of course.
The permit should be there as well before you transport them.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about the species. Which encroachment species are used for charcoal production?
Okay. Yeah, we have various woody species that we classify as encroacher species in Namibia. So some are specific to certain regions and so forth. Yeah, but then the dominant one that we have in Namibia, almost all over the country, is Acacia mellifera.
Acacia?
Mellifera. So blackthorn, swarthak.
Okay.
So in Oshihero we call it omuthaona.
Omuthaona.
Yeah, so it's Acacia mellifera, or the current name Senecalia mellifera.
Senecalia mellifera.
Yeah, and then we have others like Acacia reficens.
Right, let's move on to our next question. Obviously, you're a farmer, you need workers to help you produce charcoal. What training do farm workers need to get when it comes to charcoal production? Okay.
It is also good if the farm owner himself or the actual producer is also trained or knowledgeable. So, but in any case, the farm workers should know the type of plants or the species that they have to target. They should also know to what level or size should they cut. Because not every woody species should be cut at any growth stage. So there's a certain diameter that they should target, so they have to also know that. And they should also know all the environmental management protocols. Not destroying any natural activities of the environment. When they are even burning, they should also know that the perimeter is well protected, that the fire does not go and burn other areas and so forth.
Definitely,
the most important thing is also on their safety. They need to know the safety protocols on themselves, the protective gear that they have to wear, and any first aid, whatever activity that must be there, should be there. And safety for them is very important, and not to destroy the environment. The type of species, how they should cut, at what size, and so forth. And the burning, actually, they should also be careful because it's fire.
It's fire, definitely.
So they have to have the protective gear, and they have to also make sure that they apply all the safety aspects around fire.
All right. Now, what are some of the new burning techniques that were recently implemented?
Okay, when the industry or the enterprise started, people used to burn in drums, known as the kilns.
Kilns? But
now, as farmers are now growing and also exploring and investigating, they are learning new techniques. And this is also driven by what the market wants as well. And then they try to maybe relate what kind of technique, burning technique should we use that will satisfy the market or the attributes that they want in our charcoal, for example. So now there's this one, as you can see in this pit, this is what you call the earth burning or the earth method.
Earth method or earth burning?
This is one of the new techniques that farmers are now following. So here we are now at Groot-Rooibold, at Miss Agnes Chiramba's farm, and this is the method that she's now implementing. She has migrated from the kilns into this earth burning. So, and it's all about the effectiveness and the type of charcoal, the quality that she's getting from this method as compared to the previous drums that she used to.
Just briefly explain to us this process. What happens here?
The wood, they are chopped, and they are chopped into nice, manageable sizes in terms of length. So they are all stacked up here, or they are packed here, fully packed, and then
horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally.
Okay.
So and then they are fully packed here, and then covered with swale, fully covered, and because you need to. You don't want oxygen in there, so it's fully packed just to suffocate the wood and for it to also burn very well. So only a small amount of maybe oxygen that can be allowed in, but it's fully packed, covered with soil, and then after some time, normally this needs less monitoring compared to the drums. So she just packed them here, fully covered, and then they burn, and the next day or so she would come and unearth, because there's some timing that also follows.
All right, wonderful. Now, why is Namibia's charcoal considered to be of high quality?
It's all about the type of woody species that we have. If you look at our woody species like the Reficians or the Mellifera, they mature very well, and in the process of maturity they also strengthen, or they grow a very big the woody component, that lignin. So they lignify very well. That's why we have stronger charcoal that just don't burn to ash easily. So it's all about the type of bush species that we have. Plus the burning techniques that the farmers are also now employing.
All right, because I was never aware of this burning techniques. I sort of knew about the kilns, but this is new to me.
So this is also new to all of us. It's all about now having to understand it, master it on how it burns, and
Okay. Mr. Nkaruka, we're approaching the end of today's episode, but before I let you go, Earlier on, we spoke about the growth trajectory of the charcoal production. Let's talk about the risks involved with regards to charcoal production.
All right. The risk will be at the production side, obviously. Yeah, during the processes, either from cutting to even burning. So when you are cutting the bush, you are using sharp objects. You are either using an axe or a panga and so forth. So, and you're also going through thorny bush. So that's a risk to your body. And if you are not careful, you might even injure yourself and so forth. And then another risk at production, which is now at burning, could be that you might not be well prepared in terms of the area, the surrounding where you are burning your charcoal. So if it means that a spark goes onto the grass that you are trying to bring back into your rangelands, you might destroy it easily. So the wind also plays a role there, and the manner in which you are burning should not cause any threat to your grass. And then now safety to the people as well. So there must be safety gear. And you are playing with fire here. So the risk is also on yourself, mostly on your injury. And there's another risk again when it comes to market, for example. So they are competitors.
Definitely.
Yes. Their competitors are always try to do their best with their product. And if your product is substandard, you stand the risk of losing the market. Even along transportation, while transporting, what can happen to that lorry? There can be a delay, there can be an accident in your delivery. So those are the most common risks that one should avoid and that are there.
All right. My last question to you, Mr. Garuka. Are there any bodies or associations that protect the interest of charcoal producers and charcoal processors?
Yes, there are. We have for example, in Namibia Charcoal Association. That's one body that many farmers are affiliated to. That is also capacitating them, that is also finding a market for them, that is also protecting their interests. So for now, because it's still a small industry, even though it's growing. So for now, we have the Namibia Charcoal Association.
All right. Mr. Garuka, we've come to the end of today's episode. It was a pleasure having you on the Agri-Learn podcast again. Any final remarks to our farmers out there?
Yes. All these efforts of biomass utilization is all about improving your rangeland productivity and eventually your livestock productivity and improving your livelihood and your income from your farm as well. So whatever effort is done here should be done without destroying our environment, and any change in the rangeland condition will also change your livelihood in the same way. So if it goes the negative way, then your livelihood will go the negative way. So if you have bush encroachment, for example, obviously livestock productivity is also affected. But if you improve it, then it will improve your livestock productivity and your livelihood. So if you look this side at the back, you can see there's grass. There was bush, now there's grass. So what does that mean? Any change in the rangeland productivity will also change your livelihood the same way. So now you have enough grass for your animals. Thank you.
Well, farmers, we've come to the end of today's episode titled Biomass Utilization. Now remember, Agribank finances the entire agricultural value chain. So for more information on charcoal production, contact your nearest Agribank branch. Until then, it's bye.